Script 42, how to fix Google Home Mini isn't set up yet and have factory reset for this device. 1. Introduction. Here's something Google doesn't advertise. The Google Home Mini requires two separate apps to function properly, and they must be logged into the exact same Google account. Most users only download the Google Home app and wonder why setup fails. The missing piece is the Google Assistant app, which handles voice recognition and commands. When these apps aren't synchronized, you get stuck in setup limbo with that dreaded "isn't set up yet" message. The hidden two-app architecture, Amazon Echo and other smart speakers, operate through a single companion app that handles everything from initial setup to daily voice interactions. Google chose a different path with the Home Mini, splitting core functionality between two separate applications that must work in perfect harmony. Google's official packaging and promotional materials showcase the Google Home app prominently, featuring screenshots of device setup screens and network configuration options. This marketing approach creates the natural assumption that downloading the Google Home app provides everything needed for a complete setup experience. Users who follow Google's apparent guidance download the Google Home app from their device's app store, create or log into their Google account, and begin the setup process with confidence. The app successfully discovers their Home Mini, walks them through Wi-Fi network selection, and displays confirmation screens indicating successful device registration. Every visual indicator suggests the setup process completed successfully, yet voice commands fail to work, smart home controls remain unresponsive, and the device continues displaying error messages about incomplete setup. This setup failure occurs because Google's architecture divides essential functions between two distinct applications that operate independently but require constant communication. The Google Home app manages the technical aspects of device setup, including network discovery protocols, Wi-Fi credential transfer, device registration with Google's cloud servers, and basic configuration settings like device names and room assignments. Meanwhile, the Google Assistant app handles all aspects of voice interaction, including speech recognition algorithms, natural language processing, command interpretation, and response generation. These two applications must maintain continuous communication through your Google account credentials, sharing device status information, user preferences, and authentication tokens. The Google Home app registers your device with Google's servers and creates a digital profile containing network settings, device capabilities, and user permissions. The Google Assistant app requires access to this profile to authenticate voice commands and execute device controls. Without both applications installed and properly linked, this communication chain breaks down, leaving your Home Mini in a partially configured state. The symptoms of single app installation create particularly frustrating user experiences because the device appears functional while remaining essentially broken. Your Home Mini connects to your Wi-Fi network, displays proper LED indicators, and shows up as online in the Google Home app. The device may even respond to basic interactions like volume adjustments through the app interface. However, voice commands either receive no response whatsoever or trigger error messages about setup requirements, creating a disconnect between the device's apparent functionality and its actual capabilities. Account synchronization between both applications requires more than simply logging into the same Google account on each app. The synchronization process involves real-time verification of account credentials, permission sharing between Google's various services, and continuous authentication token updates that maintain secure communication channels. Both applications must have active internet connectivity during this synchronization process, as they exchange encrypted data with Google's servers to verify account ownership and establish proper device permissions. Some users discover they've been unknowingly using different Google accounts across their device's applications, particularly when they have multiple accounts for work, personal use, or family sharing. The Google Home app might default to your primary device account, while the Google Assistant app could be logged into your work account or a family member's credentials. Even when both applications appear to function independently, this account mismatch prevents them from sharing the device configuration data necessary for complete setup. The authentication process becomes more complex when users have enabled two-factor authentication, use Google Workspace accounts, or participate in Google's family sharing programs. Each of these account features can create additional authentication requirements that must be satisfied across both applications. Family sharing configurations require careful attention to account permissions and device access rights, as the primary account holder's settings affect all family members' ability to interact with shared devices. Standard troubleshooting approaches fail to resolve setup issues specifically because they address traditional single-app device ecosystems. Restarting your Home Mini clears temporary memory issues but doesn't address missing application dependencies. Router reboots restore network connectivity but can't fix application-level communication failures. Factory resets erase all device settings but immediately recreate the same setup problems when users repeat their original single-app installation approach. Network troubleshooting steps like checking Wi-Fi passwords, moving closer to the router, or switching between network bands may temporarily improve connection stability but won't resolve the fundamental application architecture requirements. These network-focused solutions can actually mask the real problem by making the setup process appear to progress further before failing at the voice command stage. Users often spend hours adjusting network settings when the actual solution requires installing a second application. The persistence of setup failures despite extensive troubleshooting efforts stems from the invisible nature of the dual app requirement. Unlike other smart home devices that clearly indicate missing software components through error messages or setup prompts, the Google Home Mini's distributed architecture creates subtle failures that don't point users toward the correct solution. The device's ability to partially function through the Google Home app alone obscures the need for the Google Assistant app. Installing both the Google Home and Google Assistant applications using identical Google account credentials creates the foundation for successful device communication. This dual installation enables the proper authentication handshake between applications, establishes secure communication channels with Google's cloud services, and provides access to the complete feature set that makes your Home Mini fully functional. Both applications must remain installed and logged in throughout the device's operational lifetime to maintain this communication architecture. The resolution of most isn't set up yet errors through dual app installation reveals why Google designed this distributed architecture despite its complexity. The Google Home app specializes in device management tasks that require detailed network configuration and hardware-specific settings. The Google Assistant app focuses on natural language processing and artificial intelligence functions that benefit from dedicated optimization and frequent updates. This separation allows Google to update voice recognition capabilities without affecting device stability and vice versa. Successful dual app installation and account synchronization solves the authentication and communication requirements, but device discovery still requires specific network conditions and proximity settings to function reliably. Your phone must be able to detect the Home Mini's setup broadcast signals, which involves both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi protocols operating simultaneously within specific distance and network configuration parameters. Account mismatch detection methods. Modern smartphones manage multiple Google accounts simultaneously, displaying them in a convenient account switcher that makes switching between personal, work, and family accounts seem straightforward. However, the account switcher's visual interface doesn't reveal which specific account each individual application actually uses for authentication and data access. Each app maintains its own account selection, independent of your phone's primary account settings or the account switcher's current selection. This independence creates opportunities for subtle account mismatches that remain completely invisible during normal device usage. Professional users commonly maintain separate Google accounts for work-related activities and personal use, while family members often share devices that contain multiple household accounts. These multiple account configurations increase the likelihood of authentication conflicts during smart home device setup. Your phone might display 3 or 4 different Google accounts in the switcher, but determining which account the Google Home app uses versus which account the Google Assistant app uses requires manual verification through each application's individual settings. Account verification becomes critical when the Google Home app authenticates using your work account, while the Google Assistant app simultaneously operates under your personal account credentials. This configuration appears functional on the surface since both applications load successfully and display appropriate user interfaces. However, the authentication mismatch creates silent communication failures between the apps, preventing them from sharing device configuration data necessary for complete Home Mini setup. These failures occur without generating obvious error messages, leaving users confused about why setup processes appear successful but voice commands remain unresponsive. The Google Home app's account verification process requires opening the application and locating the profile icon in the top right corner of the main interface. Tapping this profile icon reveals a drop-down menu or profile screen that displays the complete email address of the currently active account. This email address represents the account that the Google Home app uses for all authentication processes, device registration activities, and cloud service communication. The displayed email address might differ from your phone's primary account or the account currently selected in your device's account switcher. Google Assistant app account verification follows a different navigation path that requires accessing the app's internal settings menu. Open the Google Assistant app and navigate to the Settings section, which may be labeled as Settings, Account, or represented by a gear icon depending on your app version. Within the Settings interface, locate the Account Information section that displays the email address associated with your Google Assistant profile. This account controls voice recognition training data, personalized responses, and smart home device control permissions. Comparing the email addresses from both applications reveals whether your apps use matching account credentials. Account mismatches prevent the applications from sharing essential device configuration data, even when both apps appear to function independently and display proper user interfaces. The Google Home app successfully connects to your Home Mini and registers the device with Google's servers, while the Google Assistant app maintains its own separate authentication session that cannot access the device registration data created by the Google Home app. Some users discover they've inadvertently logged the Google Home app into a family member's account while keeping their Google Assistant app under their personal credentials. This situation commonly occurs when family members share devices for initial setup or when account switching happens during troubleshooting attempts. Children's accounts linked to parental controls create additional complexity, as the Google Home app might use parental account credentials while the Google Assistant app remains logged into the child's restricted account. Workplace device management policies can force specific applications to use designated work accounts, overriding user preferences or manual account selection. Corporate Google Workspace accounts often include device management restrictions that automatically assign certain applications to work account credentials. Users may manually select their personal account during Google Home app setup, only to discover that workplace policies redirect authentication to their corporate account without generating visible notifications about the account switch. Account synchronization errors also occur when users have multiple personal accounts with similar email addresses or when typos in email addresses create unintentional account duplications. A user might have accounts like johnsmith@agmail.com and john.smith@agmail.com, with each app logged into different variations of what appears to be the same account. The authentication system treats these as completely separate accounts despite their visual similarity, preventing proper cross-app communication and device data sharing. The Google authentication system requires exact character matching for successful account verification between applications. A single period, underscore, or number difference between email addresses triggers authentication failures that block device setup completion. Domain differences such as agmail.com versus agooglemail.com also create authentication conflicts, even though Google treats these domains as equivalent in most other services. The authentication verification process cannot accommodate these minor variations during cross-app communication. Password changes, two-factor authentication updates, or security policy modifications can create temporary account synchronization issues that affect app-to-app communication. When users change their Google account password, both applications must re-authenticate using the new credentials. However, automatic re-authentication doesn't always occur simultaneously across both apps, creating temporary periods where one app uses updated credentials, while the other app retains cached authentication tokens from the previous password. Google Workspace accounts with advanced security policies may require periodic re-authentication or device verification steps that affect individual applications differently. The Google Home app might successfully re-authenticate with updated security requirements while the Google Assistant app fails to complete the same verification process. These enterprise security policies can create authentication timing mismatches that prevent successful device setup even when both apps eventually achieve proper account synchronization. Family link accounts and child safety restrictions introduce additional authentication complexity that can prevent successful account matching between applications. Parental controls may allow the Google Home app to access certain account features, while restricting Google Assistant app permissions to different account capabilities. These permission differences prevent proper data sharing even when both apps appear to use the same child account credentials. Logging both applications into the identical Google account eliminates authentication mismatches and establishes the necessary foundation for successful device communication. This unified account configuration enables proper data sharing between applications, allowing the Google Home app to register device configuration data that the Google Assistant app can access for voice command processing. Account synchronization must occur before attempting device setup to prevent authentication failures during the configuration process. The account synchronization process requires active internet connectivity for both applications to verify credentials with Google's authentication servers and establish secure communication channels. Both apps must complete their individual authentication handshakes with Google's cloud services before they can begin sharing device configuration data. Network interruptions during this synchronization process can leave the apps in partially authenticated states that require logout and re-login procedures to resolve. The device discovery failure pattern. The Google Home app's device discovery mechanism operates through specialized network protocols that create multiple points of failure during the setup process. Users initiate discovery by tapping the plus sign in the app's main interface, selecting Search for Device from the menu options, and watching as the app begins scanning for nearby Google Home Mini devices. The scanning process displays a loading animation with progress indicators, suggesting active search activity. Yet many users find themselves staring at this searching screen indefinitely while their Google Home Mini remains completely undetected by the application. Device discovery failures occur with surprising frequency, even when the Google Home Mini displays all the visual indicators of proper functionality. The device's LED ring illuminates in the expected colors, responds to physical touch controls, and maintains a stable power connection through its USB cable. These visual confirmations suggest the Mini operates correctly and should be discoverable by nearby devices, yet the Google Home app continues searching without ever recognizing the device's presence on the network. This disconnect between apparent device functionality and discovery failure creates confusion about whether the problem stems from the device hardware, network configuration, or application software. Google Home Mini devices broadcast their setup signals using a dual protocol system that requires simultaneous communication through both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi channels. The Bluetooth component handles initial device identification and basic communication establishment, while the Wi-Fi component manages network credential transfer and ongoing data communication. Your phone must successfully detect and interpret both signal types during the same discovery session for the handshake process to complete successfully. When either protocol fails to function properly, the entire discovery process stalls, leaving the device invisible to the setup application despite active broadcasting from both communication channels. The Bluetooth discovery component operates within a limited range that varies based on environmental conditions, device positioning, and interference from other electronic equipment. Bluetooth signals can be disrupted by microwave ovens, wireless keyboards, other Bluetooth devices operating on overlapping frequencies, and physical obstructions like walls or furniture. The Wi-Fi discovery component faces different but equally challenging interference sources, including neighboring wireless networks, older devices using outdated wireless standards, and household appliances that emit radio frequency interference on the 2.4 GHz band. Network congestion represents a significant factor in discovery failures, particularly in environments with multiple connected devices competing for bandwidth and channel access. Router systems automatically manage device connections and bandwidth allocation, but high network traffic can delay or prevent the discovery handshake from completing within the Google Home app's timeout periods. The app expects responses from the Google Home Mini within specific timeframes, and network congestion can cause these responses to arrive too late for successful recognition. Physical proximity between your phone and the Google Home Mini directly affects discovery success rates due to signal strength requirements for both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi communications. The Google Home app searches for devices within a specific range that encompasses both communication protocols' effective distances. Placing your phone too far from the Mini reduces signal strength for both protocols, increasing the likelihood of detection failures or incomplete handshake processes. The optimal discovery distance typically ranges from within a few feet to approximately 10 feet, depending on environmental interference and device capabilities. Router configuration settings can actively prevent device discovery through security features designed to isolate connected devices from each other. Client isolation settings, also called wireless isolation or AP isolation, block devices on the same wireless network from communicating directly with each other. This security measure prevents the Google Home app from detecting the Mini's broadcast signals even when both devices connect to the same router. Guest network configurations often enable client isolation by default, creating discovery failures when users attempt setup while connected to guest networks rather than primary household networks. Some routers implement additional security protocols that require manual approval for new device connections or restrict communication between different device types. Enterprise-grade routers and those with advanced security configurations may block the specific network ports or communication protocols that Google Home Mini devices use for discovery broadcasts. These restrictions operate silently without generating error messages, causing the discovery process to fail without obvious explanations for the communication breakdown. Network band selection creates another layer of complexity in the discovery process, as modern routers broadcast signals on both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz frequency bands simultaneously. Google Home Mini devices primarily operate on the 2.4 GHz band for initial setup and ongoing communication, while many smartphones automatically connect to 5 GHz networks for faster internet speeds. When your phone connects to the 5 GHz band while the Mini operates on 2.4 GHz, the discovery protocols may fail to establish proper communication channels despite both devices connecting to the same router system. Router systems that use identical network names for both frequency bands compound this band selection problem by making it impossible to determine which band your phone actually uses for its connection. The network settings on your phone may display a single network name without indicating whether the connection uses 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz frequencies. This ambiguity prevents users from manually ensuring both devices operate on compatible frequency bands during the setup process. Automatic band steering features on modern routers can interrupt the discovery process by moving devices between frequency bands during active communication sessions. These systems monitor network traffic and device capabilities to optimize performance by automatically switching devices to less congested bands. However, band switches during Google Home Mini setup can break the discovery handshake mid-process, causing setup failures that appear random and difficult to reproduce consistently. Environmental interference sources within the home can disrupt both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi discovery signals without affecting other network activities. Baby monitors, cordless phones, garage door openers, and other household devices may operate on frequencies that overlap with the Google Home Mini's broadcast signals. These interference sources can create temporary communication disruptions that prevent successful device discovery while allowing other network activities to continue normally. The solution to discovery failures involves creating optimal network conditions that support reliable detection of both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi broadcast signals. Connecting your phone to the 2.4 GHz network band before initiating the setup process ensures both devices operate on compatible frequency ranges. Moving your phone within close physical proximity to the Google Home Mini, typically within 3 to 6 feet, maximizes signal strength for both communication protocols during the critical discovery phase. Verifying successful device discovery requires careful attention to the Google Home app's progress indicators and confirmation messages. Successful discovery generates specific notifications within the app interface, displays device identification information, and advances the setup process to network configuration screens. Failed discovery attempts continue displaying search animations without progress toward configuration steps, indicating the need for network condition adjustments or proximity modifications before attempting the process again. Network condition optimization and proper device positioning resolve most discovery failures, enabling successful detection and progression to the network configuration phase where additional technical challenges may emerge. Contemporary wireless routers transmit network signals across two distinct frequency bands simultaneously, creating separate communication channels that operate at 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz frequencies. These dual-band systems automatically manage device connections by directing smartphones, laptops, and other high-performance devices toward the 5 GHz band, which offers faster data transfer speeds and reduced interference from household electronics, your smartphone's wireless adapter detects both frequency options when scanning for available networks, but the device's operating system typically prioritizes the 5G GHz connection for its superior performance characteristics and lower latency rates. The automatic connection preference toward 5G GHz networks creates an immediate compatibility problem during Google Home Mini setup procedures. Google designed the Home Mini hardware with network connectivity components that exclusively support 2.4 GHz wireless communications, reflecting the device's modest bandwidth requirements for voice processing and smart home control functions. This hardware limitation means your Home Mini cannot detect, connect to, or communicate through 5G GHz network channels under any circumstances, regardless of signal strength or proximity to your wireless router. The fundamental frequency band incompatibility becomes problematic when your smartphone connects to your router's 5G GHz network, while attempting to configure a Google Home Mini that can only access the 2.4 GHz network. During the setup process, the Google Home app must transfer essential network configuration data from your phone to the Mini, including wireless network credentials, security protocols, and authentication tokens. This data transfer requires both devices to maintain active communication channels through the same wireless frequency band, enabling direct device-to-device communication during the credential handshake process. Network credential transfer failures occur when your phone and Google Home Mini operate on different frequency bands, creating an invisible communication barrier that prevents successful data exchange. The Google Home app initiates the transfer process by broadcasting network information through your phone's active wireless connection, expecting the Mini to receive and acknowledge this data through the same communication channel. When your phone transmits on the 5G GHz band, while the Mini listens exclusively on the 2.4 GHz band, the credential transfer process fails silently without generating obvious error messages or diagnostic information. The setup process appears to progress normally through the initial discovery and device identification phases, misleading users into believing their configuration will complete successfully. The Google Home app successfully detects the Mini's Bluetooth broadcast signals, establishes preliminary communication protocols, and advances through several setup screens before attempting network credential transfer. The failure occurs during the final configuration stage when the app cannot complete the wireless network setup due to frequency band incompatibility, leaving users confused about why the process stalls at the network connection phase. Router manufacturers compound this frequency band confusion by implementing automatic band steering technologies that dynamically move connected devices between 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz networks based on real-time performance optimization algorithms. These intelligent systems monitor network congestion levels, device capabilities, and bandwidth requirements to automatically reassign devices to optimal frequency bands without user notification or manual intervention. Band steering can interrupt Google Home Mini setup procedures by switching your phone between frequency bands during active configuration sessions, causing the credential transfer process to fail mid-operation. Advanced band steering systems create particularly challenging setup conditions by making connection decisions that override user preferences or manual network selections. Some routers detect high bandwidth activities on connected devices and automatically move those devices to 5 GHz networks to optimize overall network performance. If your phone gets reassigned to the 5 GHz band during Google Home Mini setup, the ongoing credential transfer process terminates immediately, requiring users to restart the entire configuration procedure after manually reconnecting to the 2.4 GHz network. Many router systems use identical network names for both frequency bands, displaying single network identifiers in your phone's available networks list, without indicating which frequency band each connection actually uses. This naming convention prevents users from determining their phone's active frequency band or making informed decisions about network selection during setup procedures. The wireless settings interface on most smartphones displays network names without frequency band information, leaving users unable to verify their phone connects to the 2.4 GHz band required for successful Mini configuration. Network identification challenges become more complex with mesh router systems that distribute identical network names across multiple access points operating on different frequency bands throughout your home. Each mesh node broadcasts both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz signals, using the same network identifier, with the system automatically assigning devices to specific nodes and frequency bands based on signal strength and performance optimization criteria. This distributed architecture makes manual frequency band selection nearly impossible without accessing advanced router configuration interfaces. The 2.4 GHz frequency band experiences significantly higher congestion levels than 5 GHz networks due to widespread adoption by numerous household devices and neighboring wireless networks. Microwave ovens, cordless telephones, baby monitors, garage door openers, and Bluetooth devices all operate within the 2.4 GHz frequency range, creating constant interference that can disrupt Google Home Mini setup procedures. High congestion levels during peak usage hours may prevent stable code